Welcome to our movie channel. Today we're talking about the film, The Blue Lagoon. Please give us a thumbs up, and let's begin. Our story starts in the 1890s on a big sailing ship heading to San Francisco. We meet our main characters, 7-year-old Emmeline and 9-year-old Richard, who are playing together on the ship. Richard's strict father, Uncle Arthur, tells them to stop playing because the ocean is dangerous. Uncle Arthur also takes care of Emmeline because her parents recently died. While the ship's cook, Patty Button, is working, Richard discovers some inappropriate pictures in Patty's room. Patty catches him and gets angry at both children. Suddenly, everyone hears shouting. There's a fire on the ship. The captain tells everyone to get off the ship quickly. Uncle Arthur gets put in one lifeboat, while Patty puts the children in another boat. In all the confusion, they get separated from Uncle Arthur. Thick smoke hides their small boat as it floats away from the burning ship. The next morning after the shipwreck, Patty wakes up when a trunk hits their boat. He looks through the belongings and takes some jewelry. But they have very little food and water. The children worry that Patty might be a dangerous pirate stuck with them in the boat. Days pass as they float under the hot sun, with little hope of being saved. Emmeline becomes so thirsty, she starts seeing things that aren't there. She thinks she sees land. But Patty also spots a green island far away. The experienced sailor puts up their sail, and soon they reach the shore. The island seems empty of people. Patty hears water running and goes inland to look. They find a beautiful waterfall with fresh water, and banana trees grow everywhere. Emmeline also discovers a barrel of rum. In a cave, Richard finds a human skull, the remains of a pirate who couldn't leave the island. They realize they need to escape before the same thing happens to them. While Patty watches for ships that might rescue them, Emmeline finds some bright red berries and tries to eat one. Patty quickly stops her. Those berries are poisonous and deadly. That evening, they sit around a campfire and the children ask Patty about his life. He tells them he's been married 7 times and has 17 children in different ports around the world. On this island, Patty becomes like a good father to the children. He teaches them how to swim, shows Richard how to catch fish and tie knots, and explains how to signal passing ships. Together they build a shelter made of tropical materials. Patty's only problem is that he drinks too much rum. One day, Patty discovers something scary in the jungle. He makes the island's first and only rule: never go to that dangerous part of the island. The children find ways to have fun, even on this empty island. In the evenings, they look at pictures about weddings and other normal life things. And when Patty drinks rum, he entertains them by dancing. But one morning, after drinking all the rum, Patty floats out to sea on a barrel, probably looking for more alcohol. The children wake up alone. They use a telescope to see Patty sleeping on some rocks and row their boat to him. But he won't wake up. Mr. Patty has died. Now the children are completely alone on the island. That evening, Emmeline cries loudly and begs Richard to take her away from this place. They pack their few things and leave in the boat. A group of dolphins swims alongside them. Past the coral reef, they find a beautiful beach in a blue lagoon. There are plenty of fish to catch and fresh fruit grows everywhere. Maybe they'll stay on this part of the island for just another week? Here they swim with sea turtles and live like they're in paradise. Many years go by. Richard and Emmeline grow up into teenagers. Together they build a comfortable hut, just like Patty taught them. Richard becomes good at providing food, and Emmeline becomes very beautiful. Richard dives deep in the ocean to find her a pearl, and gives it to her as a Christmas gift. Emmeline loves the present. To thank him, she gives Richard a passionate kiss. Lately, she's been having romantic thoughts about Richard that she's too embarrassed to talk about. One day, Emmeline decides to take a bath in the lake. In the water, she notices blood and gets scared. She calls Richard for help, but then realizes what's happening to her body. She's becoming a woman and feels ashamed, so she sends him away. Richard worries she's hurt and wants to help, but Emmeline won't let him. For the first time in years, She has a secret from him. She secretly admires how strong Richard has become, and he thinks her behavior is strange. What's happening with Emmeline? Despite their small secrets, they remain the closest people to each other. Richard believes his father, Uncle Arthur, will someday rescue them, just like Patty said. They only learned about the outside world from Patty, but they still don't understand much about life. Suddenly, they hear noises from the forbidden part of the island. Could it be a monster? But the worst sound is Richard playing his homemade flute. It annoys Emmeline so much. They chase each other around their 2-story hut. Richard catches her on the beach and pins her down in the sand. Finally, Emmeline gets her romantic moment. But Richard thinks it's just a childish game. In the evening, Emmeline bathes in water that glows with tiny sea creatures. She looks magical. This gets Richard's attention, and he joins her in the water. Later, they hear drum beats from deep in the island. Emmeline follows the sound, but reaches a cliff. To go further, she breaks Patty's rule and enters the forbidden area. There she sees a giant stone that looks like an altar for sacrifices, with blood on it. Scared, Emmeline runs away. When she gets home, she tells Richard about seeing the stone monster. She thinks it's a god, because the stone was bleeding. Emmeline wants to pray to it, but Richard is angry she broke the rule. In her dream, Emmeline sees the stone god warning her that Richard will die soon. When she wakes up, she's so happy to see him next to her. Without thinking, Emmeline kisses him. Richard is surprised, but lets her continue. However, Emmeline quickly pulls away. Now Richard can't stop thinking about her. He watches her sleep, gently touches her, and smells her hair. But when Emmeline wakes up, she pushes him away. The next morning, Richard feels hurt. Later, while collecting coconuts, he sees a ship far away. Richard runs to the beach to light a signal fire to get their attention. Emmeline just watches as the ship slowly moves away. But why didn't she help light the fire? She knows how much Richard wants to leave the island. This makes him very angry. He decides to escape by himself. Emmeline silently watches as he builds a raft and goes out to sea. But his weak construction falls apart with the first big wave. This amuses Emmeline. It's already his 4th failed attempt. Emmeline has accepted that they can't escape. The Blue Lagoon is their home forever. In response, Richard makes fun of her feminine appearance and copies her movements. She throws a coconut at his head, but when he slaps her back, that's too much. When she gets home, Emmeline sees the upset Richard throwing her belongings out of their hut. So the brave girl builds her own cozy place to live. But the first rainstorm catches her unprepared. Her failure only makes Richard happy. While he's having fun, Emmeline brings offerings to the island's god. On her way back along the ocean shore, she accidentally steps on a poisonous fish. Richard notices she's in trouble. Emmeline's body temperature rises dangerously. Richard is afraid of losing her and tries to keep her awake, even though Emmeline asks the god to let her die. To save her, Richard breaks the only law. He carries the weak girl to the forbidden part of the island and places her on the altar. He begs the god to save Emmeline's life. He spends many hours taking care of her like she's the most important person to him. Soon Emmeline gets better. Richard was so scared of losing her. Now Richard brings Emma food and takes care of her. Looking around, he realizes someone regularly performs ceremonies here, and the drum sounds came from this place. Maybe someone from a nearby island comes here. Richard helps Emma with everything, and she recovers quickly. They swim in the ocean again and enjoy life. While eating tropical fruit, Richard suggests something romantic. Emma can't resist. She kisses him. Then Richard pours fruit juice on her lips and kisses her back. They get a strange feeling in their stomachs, and their hearts beat faster. This must be love. They've finally understood their feelings. They simply love each other and want to hug, kiss, and spend time together. That evening, they fall asleep together on the beach. Now the couple lives like they're in paradise. They bathe together and spend evenings together, acting like a real couple. According to their limited knowledge of society, it's time for them to get married. Emmeline dresses like a bride, and they have their first wedding dance. Richard learns to ride dolphins. Maybe this way he can leave the island. Emmeline isn't bored in marriage either, and keeps her husband entertained. But she started eating too many coconuts and feels sick in the mornings. Richard doesn't understand what's happening to her. So Emmeline tells him to touch her stomach and feel the movement inside. She's pregnant. One day Richard again hears drum beats and goes to investigate. Unexpectedly, he sees a group of islanders dancing around a fire. At the end of their ceremony, they sacrifice and kill a person. Returning to the lagoon, Richard hears Emmeline screaming. Have the natives captured her? But it turns out she's having labor pains. The baby is being born. Her cries spread across the island. Then comes the cry of a newborn. Congratulations, you're a father. Richard doesn't understand where Emmeline got the baby from. The little one cries constantly. He seems hungry. But what should they feed him? Emmeline offers him fruit, but it doesn't help. To calm the crying, she holds the child, and the baby immediately finds what he needs: breastfeeding. Now Emmeline takes care of the baby and feeds him. Richard prepares spears for protection. He admits he saw dangerous people at the altar. Paddy was right. One shouldn't break the prohibition. And if the natives come for them, Richard promises to protect his family. In the morning, Richard goes by boat to where Paddy died. He finds his white bones on the shore and realizes that he will die someday too, just like his tiny baby. Later, Emmeline teaches the little one to swim. The boy grows and gets stronger. They named the baby Paddy, and his first word was Richard. The young family lives happily on the island, but one day they're spotted by a passing ship. Sailors call their captain to look at the dirty islanders. Through his telescope, the man sees a couple with a child and decides to take a closer look. Emmeline and Richard look at each other. Have they finally been found for rescue? But they decide to quickly hide in their quiet blue lagoon. Old Uncle Arthur doesn't recognize them through all the dirt and natural living. The ship sails away. The family returns to their happy life. One day Emma decides to go back to the old beach and visit Paddy's grave. The whole family arrives at the shore near the broken-down hut. She sadly visits her old dead friend. Meanwhile, little Paddy is attracted by the bright red pois, honest berries. Richard goes to gather bananas, and Emma, lost in memories, doesn't notice their boat drifting away from shore. She only realizes when the child throws the paddle overboard. Richard hears her cries and rushes to help. He quickly swims to get the paddle, but Emmeline sees something in the water. A shark is coming toward Richard. She throws the paddle at the dangerous fish. This allows Richard to climb into the boat. But how will they get back to shore now? The shark keeps swimming around their boat. Richard tries to paddle with his hands, but the boat drifts further from shore. Soon the island disappears from view. At sunset, Richard shows his son the huge sun. They spend the night lying in the bottom of the boat. In the morning, while the parents are still sleeping, little Paddy eats the poisonous berries. Emma wakes up immediately, but the child has already swallowed a whole handful. Soon Paddy feels sick and cries. Emma doesn't let him fall asleep, because the berries make you sleep forever. Richard realizes their former happy life is over forever. He prepares some poisonous berries and divides them into 2 piles. The lovers sadly swallow them with tears in their eyes. Holding each other, they lie in the bottom of the boat, waiting to die. At this moment, a ship appears far away. The lookout notices 3 people in a boat and reports to old Arthur. The ship immediately changes direction. A rescue team goes out to help. Coming closer, the rescuers see the lifeless young couple with a child. Are they dead? Actually, they're just sleeping, and now everything will be okay for them. And that deserves a thumbs up. Thank you.